we've got Abdul, and then we've got Zareen. I believe Zareen is colleague of Zubin, and she also represents Parsi community. And then I have my colleagues Yogi and Vamsi. They are both admins, co-admins with me in Indians in London. And Yogi is also part of Slav Mitra Mandal. They organize the biggest, sorry, not biggest, but one of the most famous Ganpati festivals in London. They also do a lot of tournaments like badminton, the sports activity, and they have done a wonderful job during the COVID as well, for helping out people. I think they were part of Seva UK, if I'm not wrong, and they
That,
helped out.
that's
Sorry.
in association with the Seva. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we've got Vamsi. So Vamsi in Indians in London is our technical, lead, and Vamsi also runs a lot of Telugu groups. And he is very active socially. He organizes events as well, like us, for Telugu community, and he's very well known in Telugu communities. So that's our diverse group. So we've tried to represent the whole of India, the language wise, sexual orientation wise. We had Darshan Nagiji, but unfortunately his audio connections were not good. So he represented the Sikh community as well as spirituality, because he kind of recognizes himself as a spiritual person. So I think I've done an introduction here. I don't want to take in more time from you, Hitenji. So Hitenji is basically going to give us a presentation, and then we'll talk with others and follow up with a question answer session. So please put your questions in the comment section if you have any, and we will pick it up.
Right. Thank you, Minulji, for introducing me to India, in fact, in London. So I'm really grateful, and I'm having goosebumps right now, seeing that you have arranged a diverse audience, and that too, they're all, very, very active members of the community trying to do so much for our Indian diaspora here. So it's really a pleasure to be amongst you. And I will just try to, run past shortly about census, etc., and how and why it's important for our community to take part. Are you able to share the screen? Oh, it's already there. Thank you. So let me just start that. I take it you can all see it, the screen, and hear me as well. Yeah. Right. Namaste, everyone. Good morning. As we've been talking for the last 5-10 minutes, that this particular event, census, is on our doorsteps, and it's great that we are having this conversation, because 10 years back when the census happened, there was a lot of low performance from certain communities, including the Indian community, and hence the Office for National Statistics this time round decided to hire people like me to engage at the grassroots level, and reach out to the community to just explain the reasons of census and what the importance is. And as I said 6 months ago, I also was not that familiar with census, and since I've learned about it, I feel that it is going to be playing a part in the forthcoming census that the Indian community has to play. So what I want to cover today is, you may, please forgive me, you may already know some of this, and please bear with me. But yeah, what is census? Why we have it? What are the new things this census brings to us? What support mechanism is in place, and how importantly you can all help deliver a successful census. So yeah, census happens every 10 years. And as we know, everybody has to take part, but not people have maybe not taken that proactive role in it, and also possibly not understood certain questions when taking part. And that's what I want to try and clarify today. It is basically run by the Office for National Statistics, which is apparently one of the most credible independent statistic department in the world. and it's responsible for running the census for the last 200 years. It's been going on since 1801 and have a fantastic track record of maintaining confidentiality of our personal data. Census basically is a snapshot of the society. So the last snapshot we had of the society was 10 years ago, and it's now time to refresh that. We take selfies on a daily basis. So this is apparently a selfie of the community, which we want to update and have a proper refreshed selfie, so that we can tell our community that, look, this is how I look nowadays. So most importantly, people are worried about the personal data. And as I said, ONS has got a fantastic track record. All the data which is published after collecting the census information is personal information is not at all published when they do the data. Counted as a number. We are all a number. We are all a statistics. Our personal information does not get disclosed until after 100 years. So people fear that my personal information will be shared with agencies such as immigration, tax office, benefits office, etc. But please believe me that it isn't, and it's got a fantastic track record of ONS of maintaining that, because legally also ONS is bound to protect our information until after 100 years, and that's when the next generation gets a chance to see who that dads were, granddads were, and so on. So that's the assurance I wanted to give upfront, that please, 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 no immigration agency, no benefits agency will have access to your data. So do not worry that someone's going to come and get you. So why we have census? I feel census is a stock take of the society. What we are is just not number counting. It's about who we are, where we live, what are our beliefs, our preferences, how is our health, what is my education, what are the jobs we are in. So it just gives a snapshot of the entire community, so that the government and councils can shape their policies accordingly. They can allocate the resources where needed rather than just waste the resources, deliver the services tailor-made according to the data we collect, and more importantly, monitor equality and have a fair playing field for all the community we have in our society. Their information is used in all the daily walks of our life. If you take it for local planning, development plans, health and safe, public health, social care facilities been given, housing needs are established, and more housing is developed. Education, obviously, new schools, new primary care facilities, and transport, bus routes, and so on. So we do not realize that this data comes useful in every walk of life, and that's what census allows the governments to do. The census is taking place on 21st of March. Some of you may have already got your invitation letters to participate in census. So 21st of March is a census day. So this is the day when we want that selfie to be taken. Not any other day, but 31st March is when we want to take a snapshot of the society. So when you answer your questions, you have to answer the questions based on what your circumstances are on 21st of March. Because that's how we'll get a proper consistent snapshot of the society. Because if, for example, I have a job on 22nd of March, then my circumstances have changed. And just imagine 60 million people just using any number of date, and the data would be not consistent. So please make sure that 21st of March is when we want the data capture to happen. This is the first digital census mainly. Previously, it was all happening on paper, but this is the first time we are going online. Paper questionnaire will be available who need it. We want to focus on every single person. We've hired thousands of people on a temporary basis for this particular project. We have got a lot of support mechanism also in place, realizing that COVID has been, a challenge for us. So we already done a lot of campaigning in terms of advertisement and so on has already started. But the key is now we have started dispatching your invitation letters. Some may have already got it, some may be getting very soon next week. So from 3rd to 12th of March, that's when the invitation letter goes out, which has got a unique 16 character code. And as soon as you get your letter, you can start completing your census. But keep in mind that 21st March is the date we want to capture that circumstance. If for some reason we are not able to do it, then from 22nd March onwards, you'll start receiving reminder letters. Field officers will be knocking on your doors, etc., and encouraging you that if there is any problem, how can we help you? And so that is in place. And finally, if somebody still doesn't complete it, then there is £1,000 fine and possible criminal record. But we do not want to go into that area. So as I said, this is the invitation envelope, which I got it last week. So please look out for it. Keep it separate from your pizza, flyers, and so on. It doesn't need to go into the bin. That's what it looks like. Advance postcards may have already been arrived through your letterboxes also. The census invitation pack, which contains a A4 letter giving your 16-digit character access code, will be there. It also has a leaflet with it, which gives some information about where you can get help from. Advertising campaigns have already started. Social media is buzzing with census. ONS is pushing hard to ensure that the messages are reaching out. And I'm sure the community is also helping us reach out that message. There is a lot of e-material available to download from our census website, including languages, Gujarati, Hindi, Punjabi, etc. Leaflets are there with a translation of the actual questionnaire too. So please feel free to use the resources available on the census.gov.uk website. The invitation letter, as I said, contains a unique code. Please do not share that code with anyone else unless you have a family member or friend who you trust and who's going to help you do the census. When you contact the public contact center of the ONS, you can share your access code also. Make sure that anybody who knocks on your doors and says I'm from census and I'll charge you £10 to complete your census, those people are fraud. Stay away from that. We as census officers and officials will not charge a single penny from anybody to complete your data. And we will not even ask your national insurance number, passport number, credit card details, anything. So if that happens on your doorstep, then those people are fraud. Report to the police if you can. The census support mechanism which we have in place, the main one is the public contact center, which is a free phone number, 0800 number. So that is your first point of contact. We were supposed to open census support centers physically where people can go and get assistance. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it looks very unlikely. We will take a call on 29th of March when the lift of COVID restrictions are planned. So that will be still in place. Telephone capture is there, web chat is there, language line is there. So anybody who do not understand English language, because the census form has to be completed by law in English and Wales. So people will need some kind of translation interpretation. So language line is there. We also have, large print, braille, British Sign Language, etc. And all the information is on your census.gov.uk website too. So this is what the census homepage will look like. All you have to do is census.gov.uk and just press start census and it'll take you into next pages. As I mentioned, there is a lot of information and help available. There are all links within the homepage. You can access many information, request a separate form if you wanted, request a new code if you want, etc. And once you enter your 16-digit code, that's when you get into your household census form. It's very easy and quick. Questions are relatively easy, and there are some explanation links within the question itself if you do not understand a term used in that question. You can complete on any smart device. You can pause, save, and return as many times as you want before you complete your census. You can amend any entries you have made in case you have made any mistakes before you can submit your form. And finally, please remember to submit it because it allows you to save your progress all the time. but once it's done and you press the save button, it will just stay there. So there is another submit and exit button which you need to press, and that's when your census will be completed and submitted. The main sections which we have in the census are four of them. Where do you live and how many people are living with you? It wants the relationship being established within that household so we can understand more about the society. It wants to know about, what is the makeup of your house, rented, owned, central heating, so on. So again, wants to get a picture of the housing situation we are in. And finally, each person needs to provide their personal information, name, etc., country of birth, qualification, employment, national identity, and so on. So this is where the bulk of the information will help to understand our society. So there are two types of main selection options in the questionnaire. One which has a square selection box, which allows you to do more than one selection if required. And then there is a round selection option in the answers, which only allows you one selection. So please remember, square is as many as you want, and applicable. Round is only one selection, and that will be mentioned on the question itself also. As I said, most of the questions are self-explanatory. However, there are a number of questions which I would like to draw your attention on, because based on the data last census, we believe that people may have misunderstood it. And these are the ethnicity, national identity, and religion questions. So in terms of ethnicity, very straightforward, a round selection. So if I were to complete this box or answer, then I'm an Indian, it comes under the Asian category, I will happily click the Asian box. So whichever ethnicity applies to you, we just have to select that. And then it'll take to the next section, asking you about more detailed breakdown into what you belong to. So again, I'm from India. I'm a proud Indian, so I'll be filling the Indian box here. And similarly, all the other ethnicity will do the same. So I just wanted to share this data with you. In terms of ethnicity, as we are classed as Asians, we are classed within the BAME community, the Black Asian Minority Ethnic, and there was 14% of them last census. If you have a breakdown of that BAME community, then Indian ethnic group was the single largest group after the whites. Obviously, the Black, African, Caribbean were there, but they consisted of many countries, whereas the Indian ethnic group at 1.4 was the largest group after the whites. The next one is national identity. This is where people get confused. They confuse it with a nationality. This is about, where you feel you belong, such as the country or countries you think as home. And, as I said, it's different to citizenship and it's different to ethnic group. And this is where people might have missed out last time round. So if I were to complete this section based on the information given on the question, then yes, I have been living in UK for so long, and I'll feel Britain is my house, so home. So I'll tick the British box. But I am also from India. I was born in India. I have connections in India. How do I reflect that? So then what I have to do, because this is a square selection, I can do more than one answer. So I'll tick British, I'll then tick other, and once I tick other, it'll take me to another screen and it'll ask me what that other national identity it is. And because it's India for me, I'll start typing India, and there is a auto selection answer comes down with all the countries starting with IND, and you select Indian in that. So this is where people misunderstood previously, and the data from last census suggests that people didn't understand that question well. So you will see here that the Indian national identity, there was only 324,000 people who said and ticked that box. Perhaps it was a mistake. I don't know. I'm assuming, because if you look at it, there were almost 700,000 people who were born in India. So if possibly, they understood that question, that 324,000 number could have been different. So just wanted to bring to your attention that, national identity is an important question when it comes to giving the right count. The third question is religion. Again, very straightforward question, a round selection, and these are the answers and options available. But on the question, it says this is a voluntary question. So perhaps again, people must be thinking, oh, right, I'm spending so much time doing this form, one question less, skip it. Again, you can do that. It's up to you how you want to address your form. But if I were to do this question, I will ignore the voluntary question remark. And because I am a proud Hindu and I believe in that religion, I can do so. So similarly, all the people who believes in the religion, they must be encouraged to fill in their religion also. And if one of your religion is not mentioned in this answers, then you tick the other box and you can write down the religion you want to mention. So looking at the data again, you will see that there are various religion categories here. We got the Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Jewish, Buddhist, Jains, etc. And if I'm looking at the Hindu figure here, then you will see that 800,000 people mentioned Hindu, of which over 200,000 people belong from different groups. So this is another area where perhaps people, because of voluntary nature of the question, may have not put the religion tick box. Also, the language becomes important too, because all these questions collectively give us a proper identification to all of us. So again, if you look at language, this is what it'll ask you, whether it's English or other. And I'm a Gujarati, so I wouldn't mind putting Gujarati, so I'll tick the other box, I'll do Gujarati. And when it comes to asking a question how well I speak English, I speak reasonably okay, I guess. And so I might want to tick very well or whatever is appropriate. Just want to share the information on the data of the people who have selected language last time. As you can see, we could, as an Indian community, we could have perhaps done more in terms of giving our native language out. So why do Indian community need to take part? Being the single largest ethnic group after the whites, and given that we have been contributing immensely in all walks of life in the UK society, we have developed that place in the society. When it comes to attaining getting education, youngsters and youths are doing fantastically well. So overall, we are in a good position as the Indian community. And when it comes to being counted, and when it comes to being mattered about our concerns and issues, perhaps the data doesn't allow us that strength for local government and central government to fight the cause for the Indian community. So this time around, we can make that change and bring those voices and the numbers higher. It benefits the community, not just Indian community, but any community will benefit, because the numbers is the key here. The more the number, the better it is for your voices being raised. So we can have new community centers, we can have planning permission for temples, gurdwaras, masjids, etc. Healthcare. When it comes to healthcare, it has been known that the Indian diaspora are slightly ahead in certain disease types, and we can have a better tailor-made situation, services for that. Very surprising, the COVID has brought to our attention that when it comes to Indian healthcare chaplains in hospitals, we are struggling. As an Indian community, there are hardly any. So that this data can help in future to address that. Council funding also available for taking care of our elderly and so on. And if we don't speak now, then it's going to be 10 years we have to keep quiet, and we'll have to continue facing the struggle we might be having. So it is now time for us to make that call and say, okay, yes, we are here, we want to be part of the society, and we are going to be working together on this. So how can you help? Firstly, make sure you fill your own census, encourage others to do so, distribute leaflets and posters, the digital versions which I mentioned earlier, put it on your website, broadcast on social media, follow up with reminders to your community members. I can help you with more meetings for completion, because the forms and the codes are now out. and I can run a special session for going into a live form and doing demonstrations for people and answering questions. Help each other. Because of COVID, we are not able to go out, but we can still virtually help people. So please do so. And most importantly, put out videos and messages and post it on social media. Let's take a selfie of ourselves on whatever we do, and use the hashtag and just publicize that, like, we are taking part and being proud to be part of the census, and let's do it together. So this is all I had to say today. And if there are any questions, I'll take in a minute, but these are my details. Feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to help in any way I can. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hiten Bhai. That was really, really very informative. And I'm sure there are some people who have questions. Um, but it is very informative. I do have a couple of questions from people in Newham. So I also manage a group apart from the Indian community. I also help to run the local Newham mutual aid group. And the question there was, basically there are people who are not digital savvy.
Right.
Yeah. So, and they are elderly and they have no access to kind of internet. So, how do they basically access this and how do they fill up the form?
Yeah, so as I said, when you receive your invitation letter, there'll be a leaflet in that, which has got the 0800 number, the contact center number. So possibly, I mean, obviously it's in English, so that's the first barrier one has to overcome. But that's when, friends and family might be able to help to kind of reach out to the members and, let them have that conversation, so people can at least speak to the language line, because the numbers are mentioned in English, unfortunately. But that's the first barrier somebody will need to help them with these. And you can answer, you can receive your paper questionnaire, etc., from the contact center.
Okay. So when they did ask this question, um, basically I did look into this leaflet that you're talking about because I did get my census uh,
Okay.
letter and I did fill it up. And so I'm just showing the people who have asked the question. This is the last page of the four book leaflet that you have. It looks like this. And on the last page, it gives you the numbers to call out. And
That's
it
right.
says that basically it's a free phone. There's a text relay service number there as well. It says that large print formats are available for older people,
Yeah.
and British Sign Language support is also available online. And it does tell them that if you are not confident online, you do not have a computer, then contact this phone number and they will help to fill it up on the
Yeah.
phone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
those of you who have elderly neighbors and are concerned about their neighbors and how they're going to fill it up, this leaflet is going to come with the letter that will have the code on it for you to fill it in.
Yeah.
So that was the question there answered.
And also the census.gov.uk website, obviously it's in English, but that has given much more information than this leaflet. It guides you point by point on how to do certain things, so that is also there.
So I do remember you did mention that, on the phone there are languages there for you to select your language and get the information there.
Yeah.
So
So there is a separate language line phone number. So that number, and even if you can't speak English at that point, you can start talking in your language, and the officials over there will be able to put you through the person you are speaking to. So there is some technology used in that way also.
yeah. So also, I have on the chat from Alok a question. So it's mostly also representing, see, our groups are mainly immigrant groups, the groups that we on the Zoom call here are managing or, are part of. So we are people who have come to UK for our studies or basically for our work and first generation immigrants. We also have someone like Zubin who's born here. But the question here is from Alok, where he says the ones who have recently moved to UK for work, study, etc. Will they get this invitation as well? Is it by property or by individuals? How do you receive this letter?
Yeah, so the letter is sent to every household per property. So the address will be addressed to a property rather than name. So whoever is living in that property or the household then has to fill that form in, regardless whether you have just come in to the country for studies or work purposes. If you have been living in this country for more than 3 months, then that person will be eligible to take part in the census.
Okay, interesting. Because when I was filling in my form, that was the day before yesterday or yesterday, I think, and it did ask me about the visitors who are going to be in the house on the 21st. So
Yeah.
census day is on the 21st of March. So it did mention of people who are living abroad and can be here for 3 months or more. So are they going to cover the visitors like parents who are coming here, or some other visitors who are going to be here in the property on that day as well?
That's right. Yeah. So the key is that if there is anybody on 21st of March, I mean, visitors normally would be somebody mainly living within UK and they're just moving around. And at that particular day, you are spending that night here and you have another address also. But in this situation, if there is a visitor from abroad and they have been living here for more than 3 months, then you would count them either as a visitor or as a household person living with you because they've been here for 3 months,
Yeah,
more
I,
than
I
three
do
months.
remember it very specifically is asking for people who even live outside the UK but are
That's
here,
right.
for more than 3 months.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Also, Aluk wants to know that if someone unknowingly binned the leaflet that we just showed, about
yeah,
what you need to know on census,
yeah.
how do they get, how can they get the code details if they've not
Okay.
done the code?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very important. That's why I said, please don't mix it up with the pizza leaflets. So yeah, by 12th of March, if somebody has not got their household access code, then by all means get onto the census.gov.uk website and you can request an access code from there.
So if they've missed this out and if they do request, or if they do not request, let's say, will they be fined?
Well, I mean, eventually they will come on the doorstep and say, "Hang on a minute, you still haven't responded," and that there will be many opportunities for someone to complete the form before they are fined. So it is a very, very last resort. If somebody wants to complete the form, we will be giving them as much encouragement and support necessary to complete that form. And although the census date is 21st of March, because of the COVID situation and so on, we are going to keep the form online live at least until 4th of May. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so it's not that you missed out on 21st of March and that's it, end of story. We'll be still sending field officers reminder letters and so on, and the online form at present is still going to be available online till 4th of May to
Okay.
complete.
So what about people? So there are a lot of people in our groups who have traveled back home
Yeah,
for this Christmas holidays, and they are stranded abroad.
yeah,
They're not being able to travel because of the travel restriction in various countries, and they're
yeah,
stuck there, and they're going to miss out on the codes that they might have got at their home.
right.
How do how is that?
So yeah, I mean, if so, for example, a person is living here usually and they are stuck there, if they have a means of a UK phone mobile number, then they can go on the census.gov.uk website, request an access code, and they can fill it from there also, provided they're going to be coming back later sometimes this year. So that is available for someone to do that. Or for example, a member of a household has gone to India or wherever and their other members are in UK, then that person doesn't need to be physically here. You can count them as part of the household because they have been temporarily away and stuck there.
Yeah. But when you talk about household, there are a lot of house of multiple occupancies. There are houses where people are
So
sharing
yeah,
accommodation.
what happens in those kind of situations is that there'll be one person amongst that household who will be taking charge or control of that household form. And then if there are others who do not want to share their details on that particular household code, then the person who is responsible, taking the responsibility, just needs to mention all the people living in it, and then establishing a relationship that you're a lodger or a, sharing the room and things like that. And the other persons can request their own private access code, and they can complete their form by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you need to have a link, the main household form, and then within that describe, say 5 people are living in their names. And then when it comes to filling the names and details of, say, the fifth person who doesn't want to share the information, then they can request an access code on a mobile phone, and they'll get their own access code, and they are free to fill that form by themselves.
Okay. So, while I was filling in the form, it did ask about questions on where you're working, exactly your office address,
Yeah, yeah,
and how do you commute, and what do you actually do, and
yeah.
your education. So, is this, there could be people who could be in between jobs, or because of COVID, they're not traveling. So, how does,
Yeah, so at the outset, it says that all the answers you give has to be based on the actual situation you are in. So, for
now?
example, now, yeah, on 21st of March, if, for example, you are normally going to office on a on a regular basis, but in this circumstances you have working from home, then you mention you're working from home. Yeah, so yeah, answer the question based on the circumstances, rather than saying, "Oh, usually I used to do this. Usually I used to travel by train, but you're not right now." But we want to capture the current situation, and that's what it mentions at the outset also, that answer all the questions based on what your situation is right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to just open up the discussion with other members who are here,
please.
basically because they are from very diverse community and people would identify themselves with these members here.
Sure,
So I'm not sure
please.
if Raga is there still. Probably, yeah, she's there. Raga, can I bring you in? Okay. I'll wait. Okay, she's there. Yes. So
Sorry, Meenal. I was listening so intently to Hiten Bhai and I was making notes.
Oh,
brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you.
So Raga, have you before this done any census in the past?
Meenal, I think I haven't done anything in the UK. Possibly I did it last year. I can't remember. I can't remember. Nicola
It
must
was
have done it for me.
2010. I remember
Uh,
doing it last year,
so I
2010.
have a feeling my partner may have done it for me, and I really can't remember. I can't remember beyond 10 days of my life. Seriously.
Me,
Okay.
me, me
All
too.
right.
Me too.
No, so
Okay.
maybe that is why. But I'm sure we did, and I also
Yeah,
remember doing it in India and stuff. So I've always participated.
right.
But what a fantastic session to have! So many things I learned today. I think most of it get confused or think it's very complicated. It isn't.
No,
And thanks for giving the community a voice, the LGBT community a voice. I think it's really important, and I always say that we can only exist if we openly exist.
Yeah, if we
Otherwise,
acknowledge each other, we
yeah,
are
yeah,
there, we are there. We have to
uh,
accept each other.
no,
So
and not just
basically,
that, right?
yeah.
yeah,
So the point of bringing Raga in was basically I wanted everybody to be included in this Indian community, and we want to be inclusive. Plus, also this is the first time that I've done the census 2010. I don't remember the sexual orientation being asked. So and me and Raga, when I called her last night quite late, I think I called her after 10, and we did talk about it. So the point was, why is this question asked, and should they be, because see, LGBT community is very different than someone who identifies themselves with religious communities. They meet, they discuss, they have a worshipping place, they gather around. But I'm not, I think apart from pride, I'm not very sure about how LGBT community themselves have an association or kind of socialize that openly and discuss matters like this census, because obviously this affects their rights as well. So
Yeah.
how is this information going to be used and benefiting them as a society, I mean community of LGBT people, and things like that. So I'm sure, I'm not very sure, Hiten Bhai, that you would have more in-depth thing, but how do they plan to use the sexual orientation part?
Yeah, I mean, as you rightly said, this question was not included in any previous censuses. This is the first time they're including this question. And again, it demonstrates that, we want to capture the wide diversity of our community and any inequalities, if there are any, which I'm sure, they are, and we're trying to address that. So this is a chance to, be counted the way people feel their preferences are and so on, and let's be part of that community. So I think it's just going to be giving a very good insight in going forward for this LGBT plus community, and I'm sure it is just going to be positive going forward. I mean, I don't know what Ragaji feels, but that's what I feel.
I agree with you, Hitenbai. Meenan and I discussed this last night very briefly. And as she said, and as you said earlier, data is very important. We have
Yeah.
to capture data, right? So there is a lot of information available. Of course, there are communities and we have our own associations and stuff. There are little pockets. But the government, I think in 2018, sent a paper, basically a proposal to the parliament saying we should have the sexual orientation because in the census, because primarily to gather that data so that if there are any disadvantages as a community that we are facing,
Yeah,
that can be addressed.
absolutely.
Education, housing, these are basics, right? The
Yeah.
health. I mean, my partner, for instance, was hospitalized a few months back. We
Mm,
in the system we are not recognized as
yeah.
partners. So I had
Yeah.
to go through a huge amount of difficulty. There are a lot of challenges, and these are not intentional challenges.
No.
These are challenges because you don't exist in the system.
Correct.
So I think by participating, and I encourage everybody, if anybody has identify themselves as a certain kind of sexual orientation, I think for the census, for the data is important so that the government then can put measures in place. And this is for policymakers, obviously. So the policymakers can create policies around
Yeah.
our community, which is the LGBT community. To
And
make,
one
yeah,
thing is that it is anonymous. So you are not even going to be identified if someone is concerned
exactly.
about being identified, because we are just going to be a number, a statistic. So
Yeah.
that is the very encouraging thing people have to understand, that look, doesn't matter. I will take part. And that's what we are encouraging to do. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
I
just
interrupted.
sure, Minal, very briefly because I think we should touch upon others
Yeah.
as well. But just very briefly, apparently I've kind of not filled up the questionnaire yet. But the kind of questions that they're asking is, say, example, what is your sex? And then you identify that, and then it's the gender you identify with is the same as the sex registered at birth. Now,
Yeah.
remember, a lot of people transition, a lot of people don't identify, and that data has never been available.
No.
It may be available with some hospitals that you have basically registered yourself with,
Yeah.
but the government doesn't have the data. And if the government had the data, imagine the health provision that can be made.
Yeah.
And so that is, it is important for us. It is not for the government. It is
Yeah.
for us. We have to do
Absolutely.
it for us as a community. And that's what I would encourage everyone to make sure that they participate, they fill in the information. And as Hiten Bhai said, it is anonymous. It is not going to be used by anybody, but for us to make sure that we have advantages as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Raga. I'll just pass it on to Ananya. Ananya has a couple of questions, and
Sure.
she basically can't sit for long. She would like to ask you certain questions.
Yeah, please.
So we'll just pass it.
Namaskar, Hitin Bhai.
Namaste,
Thank you
Ananya.
very much for a very detailed information that you've provided today. And it's really, really eye-opening how much our community is missing out on giving and filling information, which could help in a lot of different aspects. Um, Someone has given me a question based on the data protection. A simple question of household information that I saw on the form. I was quite inclined on that as well. Why do you need to know what kind of heating provisions do we have, or um, what kind of boiler system do we have? It is in-depth information, and how is it going to be used?
Yeah, so those information are to be aware about, environmental policies, energy policies, and so on. It will help to understand that, what is the situation the vast amount of population are living in, because when it comes to knowing all this information, It will help the local governments because you have subsidized schemes being introduced for changing central heating, solar panels, and so on. So I think it's just a part of getting that information to make sure that we understand the makeup of the society, the household situation, and then provide any services to address those shortfalls.
Okay, so as I reiterate what you said, and also
Yeah.
that it's anonymous, so people shouldn't worry about their
Absolutely.
information being publicized in any form or matter.
Yeah.
Second question, very nicely pointed out about Indian healthcare chaplains. I've been in hospital quite a few times in the last few years, and I've noticed you're right because um, I had a chaplain that come through to me who was Christian, and he asked me if it was okay. I am okay. I'm open to all religions. So, despite of being a Hindu, I am okay to it. But I, at that time, even noticed हमारे लोग नहीं है यहाँ पे
नहीं है
कि
and
हमारे
and
प्रीस्ट या इमाम्स या कोई और नहीं आता है इस चीज
नहीं
में तो
हाँ
sorry I'm talking in Hindi and English mix because our group is a mix of range of ages and languages that people understand and I would like to kind of see how we can implement this and if we can as a community Indian moms yeah hum log as can be helped to put this in place the chaplain thing in precisely because a lot of our elderly community ends up in hospital and
Yeah,
are
I mean, in
devotional.
this COVID situation, sadly, hundreds and thousands of our Indian community members passed
Yes,
away, and as we all know, nobody is allowed to go in those last
exactly.
moments, and just imagine that nobody's there to say Gayatri mantra or things like that. It might be a Christian chaplain or a Muslim chaplain there and it's just very difficult, it's very tough. So even small things like this does make a
Matter.
matter you
It
know
does matter.
uh
That's how it touched me when I
yeah
was in hospital and this chaplain came. I was very happy to listen to him, but
yeah
as a proud Hindu, as a proud Bharatiya,
yeah
I was quite tempted to ask him, and I did ask him the information, and he said there are a few Hindu chaplains in the community, but not spread across the
yeah
country. So let's get into this and we can have a separate discussion about it. I don't want to take
yeah
too much time.
sure
And
yeah
the last question is our families bring nephews and nieces as students into our homes. So do we register them into if they're staying in for more than 6 months? So are they included as part of our household community? Or
where do they usually live?
so there are people that have asked questions in the past in our community, in our group, that they have nieces and nephews that are coming in for education, say for 3 years, doing a certain course. So they will be living with them. Say for
Yeah, so
example.
you count them as a household in your
Okay,
household.
okay,
If some students are in university because of the students COVID situation, I just want to highlight this point. There is no term time address as such for some of them because they would have preferred to stay home. So what we are saying to those students is to count them at both places because they will get their own access code at that university address.
okay.
So they will be required to fill a form there if they are there. If they are not there, also. So we are telling the communities that fill the students' details at both places, just in case we don't want to miss out on them. So
Okay.
for students particularly, count them at both addresses, term time address as well as home address.
Okay, just the last say, just want to say thank you, Hitin Bhai, for this session that you've just done. Very elaborate, very informative, very detailed. So, धन्यवाद उसके
No,
लिए.
dhanyawad. Thank you.
And as Indian moms, as a group, we are spread across as Indian admins. So we are there are people in Birmingham, There are two of us in East London, and I'm based in Buckinghamshire in Aylesbury. So whoever is watching this, if you have your elderly neighbors who are Indians, who are Asians, try and help them out to fill this form if they are struggling, if they don't want to pick up the phone, or if they're feeling nervous. Please, please, please try and help them, because this will really, really help us to get our rights across through the government. And in future, when we want to make any requests or any kind of, for example, even funerals, Hindu funerals, um, in a certain time frame, then we can put this forward, because then we are recognized as a huge community. So just want to say thank you. Thank you, Meenal and the team, for bringing this into a wide forum for all of us. Thank you. Have a good day. Let's go.
Thanks, Ananya. And if there are any questions in your group still after you log off, we can still send to us. I mean, we will try to wind this up soon, but just a couple of more people I want to get in.
Yeah, so we move over. That's it.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks. Zareen, can I ask you to unmute? Zareen, Zubin has left. Are you there, Zareen? Okay, Zareen Dastur, if you're listening, or okay, I'll wait then. Abdul, are you free to talk? Okay, Zareen is here. Zareen, you represent Parsi community, and I was going to ask this to Zubin, and we spoke yesterday about it. So, you know, the Zoroastrians, when they're going to fill up the form, what do they normally write? Would they write Zoroastrian or Parsi? And if they write two different things, how will it affect them, you know?
We always write Zoroastrian.
You write Zoroastrian. Okay. So, because, you know, Zubin was telling me that some write Zoroastrian, Irani, and then, you know, so that was my discussion with him. But what is the level of awareness in the Parsi community about the census?
We have a Zoroastrian house where we discuss things.
Yeah. So, would you like Hitin Bhai to come and give a similar session there? Or you want to discuss with them and then let me know? I can get Hitin Bhai to come and talk to people there? Or?
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Well, I'm not so in touch with a lot of Zoroastrians, so
Okay.
I'm not able to convey what they think about it.
Okay, so mainly actually Zubin and we did speak yesterday, but unfortunately had to leave urgently. So, you know, when the Zoroastrian community is going to fill up the form, do they still identify themselves as Indian? And do they also put in Gujarati as the language? Because
Some of them do.
yeah, and so the conversation the reason I'm asking this is it is important for people to put in their languages, because you know, if there is any information that's going to be printed from the government officials later on, you know, so at least they have, if they have sizable people in that community there, they can have Gujarati leaflet. If there are people who can't read English, you know, the elderly people who are used to their own languages. So it would be nice if you would encourage in the community for people to put in their religion and languages properly, so that at least, you know, when they're looking back at the communities in a certain area. For example, I manage Newham, and when they were trying to put in the information about the vaccines in Newham, you know, they did for that, you know, because we have a sizable Bangladeshi community here, they did mention the Bengali leaflets were there, and plus, you know, the imams from the masjid were educating people about the vaccine, and the misinformation around it was kind of busted out, you know. So that is the reason we want to encourage people to put their identity religiously and language wise, and the ethnicity out as well, because you know, our contribution that we make, plus you know, the policies that's going to affect us, also kind of, you know, take all these things into account. So if you sessions in Parsi community, Hitin Bhai, would you be able to do it if they ask?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Zareen, she knows, but I was in contact with Mr. Malcolm Debu.
Yes, he's our president.
That's right. Yeah. So he has been sent all the communication, and apparently he has kind of conveyed the message across to your community. I've been told, but yeah, he's aware of my contact details, and if there is anything which is required from me, I'll be quite happy to take it up with Mr. Debo.
Thank you very much. You've been very clear about lots of
Right.
things.
Okay. No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks,
Thank you.
Zareen.
Thank you.
I'm gonna next ask Abdul. Abdul is here as well to kind of tell us about what his understanding is and what he's filled in the form. How confident he felt about filling in the form.
Sure. Thank you, Meenal. While filling up the form, as Hiten Boy clearly, informed how the form needs to be filled in and what are the information. It was very straightforward. There was nothing to hide. It is more for our benefit, taking into consideration where we live, what sort of boiler we use. So, in terms of providing the best of resources available in the community or the wider area, as well as number of household, how many people live in. It is better to provide in terms of what language you use, as Meenal and Hitenbhai clearly mentioned. Like if we have people who are elderly and they don't speak English as their first language, then 100% it should be in Hindi, Rajasthani, it could be in Marathi, it could be Gujarati, it could be in Urdu, whatever language we put in. So it is better for us to put on the language we understand and we speak, so that we get that kind of communication, especially getting called from GP so that they can hire interpreters on that aspect if they have that kind of data. If we don't provide them the data, they will never know what help is required. So it is good in terms of it. When I was filling, it was very straightforward for me to fill in all the information. And if we tell them our religion, so in terms of help, in terms of community help, especially like to get a temple in, if they come to know that, okay, there are too many Hindus or too many Muslim or Sikh living in one pocket of the country, they can allocate funds for that purpose, and the policies can be made according to the diaspora of the people living in. So it is very helpful, and I would encourage everyone to fill in. There's nothing wrong in it. We have always filled in India. We should do it, and since we live over here, I would highly encourage people to fill in the form so that we get recognized as Indian, as a community. As Hitenbhai showed the stats for last census, the BAME community will considerate all. We have so many. It only calculated 14%, which is very low number. So we could, if we fill out the information and put it out, 100%, it'll be more than 14%, and that's what we believe. So yeah, this is what my experience was. And if anybody needs any help, information, Hitenbhai has directly guided the website. He's available. We as a colleague, we are more than happy to help, assist, more than happy to do it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abdul. Thank you so much. I'll now bring in Mayura ji. So Mayura Patel represents the Hindu community in Croydon, and she had a video that went viral in Gujarati, as well as there was another one in Hindi. So Mayura, what has been after your video went viral? Did you have any specific questions that came up to you from people who really were struggling to fill in the form or who were not confident about the form?
I think one question, by the way, hello everybody, namaste.
Mayur, good to see you now face to face. I've also seen your video. It's so inspiring. Fantastic. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Equally, I'm very pleased to meet you too also, Hitenbhai. And very nice presentation. This is my second or the third one I'm attending. And you have made certain points very crystal clear, which is very important. I've also made the video in Hindi, because I realized that there are so many Hindi speaking people, So yes, thank you very much. One question was, everybody started asking me was that when is the form going to arrive and how is it arriving? So you have just made it clear that the forms are already out, the codes are being sent, which is very helpful. and all the help that is available. And Hitenba, now I would say that the next step for people like us, the community leaders, we need to focus on how we will educate people on what help they can get,
Right.
how they can get, where they can get. Because I think that the basic message has already gone out. And we have tried so hard, all of us, right? So I think our next step, my suggestion is that let's start telling people who to contact. Let's get some names and numbers out. And, feel free to use my name and number if you have to. And, I'm more than happy to go out and help people, or in whichever way I can from wherever I am. So I think that is my another suggestion. In terms of the census, Mino, your voice was lost. So I lost your question.
So the question that
Because I don't know, maybe because of the internet connection.
okay.
Huh.
So the
Please,
question that I
फिर से
asked,
बताइए.
so I can also talk in Gujarati. So when you made your video and it went out, and people contacted you
Yeah.
after the video, what were their questions that they
Huh.
got in touch with you, and what did they have in mind when they approached you after that?
Actually, I did not have any questions apart from a few that asked me, how can we access this form and when is it going to arrive? I think that basically people liked the message. So the feedback was that it was that this information was made available to them. So I think that the feedback was more about that, oh, this is good to know, sort of thing. But for all the people who are listening to us right now, I would say that apart from the community, start thinking from yourself first. So the way we all should be thinking is, मैं इधर हूँ छू अइयां, I am here. You know, it all starts from us individually. And that when we fill out the form, we must keep this in mind. What when I'm in the hospital? What when I need something for my children or my grandchildren? So when people start thinking with this psychology, they will be more inspired to fill in the form, to say, I exist. And I would like the government to know that I exist here, full stop. When we start with that, then slowly then we start thinking, yes, my community needs this, yes, my borough needs this. That is very important. And number 14 question is so important, because I think that is why, Hiten bhai, we lost out on a big number of statistics last time, because people who think that, oh, I'm a British national now, people did not make it very clear that yes, I'm a British national, however, I'm a Hindu, I'm Indian, and this is my language. I speak Gujarati, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, etc., etc.
Yeah,
So when people
absolutely.
go on census website, you will see that their graphs, if you see, I have updated my video with certain pictures in it now. And if you need one, I will send you that the graphs indicate for each borough. So Croydon borough, how many people of each faith, the major faith in the borough, and that indicates how many Hindus in Croydon. Then other statistics they use is that, okay, out of how many Hindus, how many Gujaratis, how many South Indians, how many Sikhs, blah blah blah. So that is how the information is then um, diversified, in their records. But my main message is that please start thinking that I am here, and I would like to know I would like the government to know that I exist. My needs count. And I think that if we all start thinking that, we will start filling in that form without fail, is my personal message to all. And I hope it helps.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayura. I have a couple of questions from people who are actually watching this.
Mhm.
I've got Dolly Contractor who has, sorry, Mayura, this is to Hiten Bhai, but
Sure.
you can
Thank you.
also, if you think you know the answer. So basically, Dolly is asking that she's finding it very difficult to fill in the form. Probably that is because of her, uh, uh, she might not be tech savvy, probably. So as we explained, the leaflet has the information on how she can get help if required. Um, And Dolly, we are all here. I mean, you can reach out to one of our admins, and we would ask Hitin Bhai, we can get in touch with Hitin Bhai and provide you any help that you might need, um, or you could also use that leaflet with any of your relative or someone who you trust, and share the code with them if you trust them, and get them to fill it up for you, or get them to assist you. As they explained in the leaflet, there is a helpline number there, and the language, you can select your own language and talk. So that is available. uh, there's another question. Okay, Hiten Bhai, is the census part? Harshit Chandak wants to ask, is the census participation per individual or per household?
Right. So the census code will be sent to each resident as an household, but everybody within that household will be noted down in the census. So you do not get a census code for each person. You get the code for the household itself, and all of the people living in that household needs to be mentioned and counted in that form.
Okay. So another question I have is from Anushil Srivastav. He's asking that, can I ask a question about people who are currently working outside UK? I don't have a UK current address. So basically they are British, but overseas British, residents. I mean, yeah, British but residing abroad.
Right. So if you are abroad for more than 12 months, then you will not be counted within that.
Okay. So even if
Yeah.
you are British but you're living abroad, you're not part
Yeah.
of
For more than 12 months you've been away, then that the statistics doesn't add up, because you usually live away, so the numbers of that kind of community would not have a large impact or any impact when you're looking at the numbers locally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have Imran Sheikh. He's asked that, what is the last date to submit the form, as he needs to make people understand the need to fill up the form, and he wants to help people to fill up the form.
Yeah. So, as I said, there is no deadline as such been publicized by the census. We want everyone to complete the form on 21st of March or soon after that. But knowing that we are in a difficult and challenging times right now, the census online form will be available for completion at least up till 4th of May in the current situation. But that could be reviewed, and another call could be taken if needed.
So, will there be any people who would go door to door for elderly, or any household that has missed out? Will there be a second kind of leg where people will go out to the houses and knock the doors of those who have missed out? Do you reckon that with the COVID?
Yeah. So from 22nd of March onwards, we will be starting receiving the data immediately, and based on that data, who have not completed the forms, reminder letters will go out initially to that property, and then also the field officers will be knocking on the doors also after 22nd of March, trying to understand what are the problems and how we can help and encourage them to complete that form. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Alok is asking, Hiten Mai, he's asking that, what is the criteria for a language or ethnicity to be recognized? Alok, what exactly do you mean by this? Do you want to ask him directly?
Yes, Minal, I can ask him directly. So, Hitan bhai, my
Ah,
question is with regards to the language or ethnicity. Like, say, for example, I'm from Rajasthan, and
right,
Rajasthani is not recognized language in India even yet.
right,
Here we have a big community of Rajasthanis.
right,
So, what number is there which enables us to be recognized in the system?
right. I mean, there is no such criteria to kind of I mean, unless it's a very large number, then they will possibly bring it in as a recognized language, etc. But this is precisely why these questions exist. That if there is a sizable number, then we need to know, so then we can address those kind of communities separately or whatever is required. So in your case, the all the listed languages, if it's not one of your languages not there, then you will possibly have to tick the other box and then write down whatever language that is. Yeah.
That's good to know. So all those who are listening from Rajasthan or other languages, they should be ticking that other than writing their language there. Thank you very
So,
much.
Alok, just let me
Can I
tell
just
you-
add something to that, Hitin Bhai?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So another suggestion I have, Minal, for all such sub communities, is that basically we are Indians. The national language of India is Hindi. So
I
what
am
we can
afraid, Myra, sorry to interrupt you. We don't have any national language in India.
No, so
oh
we
we
will
don't.
not get.
We don't.
Meera, we will let
I
people
thought Hindi
select
was the
what they are
national language in India.
comfortable with.
I'm afraid there is no
Acha.
national language in India.
Oh,
So,
I see.
yeah,
Sorry. Okay. Well,
yeah.
when I was at school, we were taught, because I come from India, I educated in India.
Same here.
And so we were taught in school that Hindi was a national language in India. So I don't know if that has changed. I would just say that.
Never
But
been a national language in India. It is an official language, and we are diverse community in an Indian community, so we have different languages. So
yes, that I agree. But I would just suggest that, if you were comfortable, then you could write your language as in Rajasthani, and then perhaps in the bracket, if you're speaking Hindi, yeah, or if you know Hindi and you're speaking,
Gujarati पण
in the
बोल
bracket,
सकते
you can write Hindi.
Yeah,
So I'm
Meera,
just saying,
Mayura Ben, just
let's, yeah.
to come in. Sorry, you see, the census certain kind of entries will not recognize.
Yeah.
If you say put in brackets, that's not going to be recognized.
oh,
So
I see. Okay.
please, not to
Be
mention those
specific.
things. Yeah, because
Okay.
it is all done electronically. There is nobody there to count, what's in the bracket and so on. So, any entries which doesn't become a normal entry will be discarded. So
Mhm.
this
Good
way
point.
this will, lose a count in this way.
Correct.
So please
Thank
do
you
not
so much.
encourage.
Thanks.
I think that this has
Please don't
brought in a
encourage.
new
Yeah,
piece of information.
absolutely.
So yes, that is
So
very good
thanks
to know.
actually, Mayura, for actually giving the opportunity for Hiten Bhai to correct that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
But,
so happy. I'm so happy.
yeah.
So that we all are on the same page and
Yes.
that we have the
So
same information. It is so important. Thank you so much,
definitely.
Hitin Bhai.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Alok ji, you would be, I would let me introduce you to Abdul. Abdul is from Rajasthan, like me. He is born in Bombay, but he's actually from
I
Rajasthan.
actually noted that when you mentioned
Yeah.
that he's from Rajasthan, and he mentioned about
He did
Rajasthani as well.
mention that his mother tongue was Marwadi. Now,
Yes.
when you say Rajasthani and when he says Marwadi, okay, actually it is the same language. So
Yes.
it would be basically a better thing for you as a community spread
To write one.
to either select Rajasthani as official or Marwadi as official, so it doesn't kind of lose count. So that is what I was trying to say.
Very valid point, and I think we should all write one language. So Abdul, Rajasthani or Marwadi, we can choose and circulate in our community to know them that what we need to choose.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
maybe officially you might want to just tell people what to choose when you do census, what exactly should they write. So that you might want to send it out from your
Because
community.
that is a very important point, because you don't want division within a subdivision. So it's a very important point. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So now,
Next.
there are a lot of Parsi people watching us, Ruxana and Dolly. I would just like to share what Ruxana is saying. Ruxana Mistry is saying that basically those who are in Zoroastrian community and are not able to fill in the form, the Zoroastrian Community Association is happy to help them to fill up the form, and they're already cascading the instructions there. So, just if you're listening and if you are a Parsi and if you need any help, contact Zoroastrian Association like Zubin or Dolly, Ruxan Mistry, and like Hiten already mentioned who to contact. He's already spoken to Malcolm, isn't it, Hiten bhai?
Yeah, Malcolm Debuji. Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So now I think we've covered most of the people here. Rohit is also there. Rohit is basically from Friends of Madhya Pradesh, and he's right now filling in the form online. And he is saying, and this even I faced because I was filling in the form as well, about the education. So when you're filling in the form, okay, what happens is first you select your degree. Okay, so you've already told them that you're a degree level educated. Okay, then the next it is asking you about A levels. Okay, and how many A levels you got. So someone like me, I had my bachelor's in India and I've done masters here, so I didn't have to do A levels, you know. So it is quite confusing there, Hiten bhai. And then after that, it is asking about NVQ, and it is asking about, you know, the GCSEs. So would you like to just explain to us who are
Sure.
not aware of what these terms mean
Okay.
that clearly?
Sure.
So his question is, Rohitji, do you
Yeah,
want?
I read that question. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
So yeah, Rohitji, please feel free to speak
Thanks, Sunil.
directly. Not a
Thanks, Sunil.
problem. Yeah. Yeah. So if I may just point to that, because like many, I was not educated here in UK, and I have no idea about how the system works and what is A levels and GCSEs and so on. What one can do is, if you go onto the census.gov.uk website, there are specific paragraphs and mentioned and covering all these questions on education, which gives more details. But the gist of that is that, yeah, if you think that it is a similar qualification back in India or any other country, then we want to know what is the closest we can select in that criteria. So that's what the explanation is. But I do not claim to know all of that answer. So I would request you to go into the census.gov.uk website,
Yeah.
and in the students section, in the help section, you will see a little bit more detailed explanation about each qualifications and what to
Thank you.
select.
Thanks, Hiten. I think GCSE is the 10th standard equivalent.
Yeah, that's right. 10th
And
and
A
12th
levels
is A
is the
level is
12th,
12th. That's
12th
right.
standard
Correct.
equivalent,
Correct. Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there
Thank
is
you.
explanation on the website. So if there is any confusion, then that will guide you to what is best
Thanks.
to select.
So, Yogi, you are there. You want to ask anything from Maharashtra Mandal side or Vamsi?
Yeah, I'm there now, Minal. But I think Hiren Bhai has explained everything very nicely and it's very crystal clear. So all the presentations and information he has shared and answer to other people's query, that is self-explanatory.
Yes, Minal. Yeah, we don't have any other question. He explained very well. So looks really nice, this one. Yeah.
So great, Vamsi, you are here representing the Southern India as well. So
Yeah.
what is the awareness in Southern India about the census?
What, Minal?
The Southern Indian communities.
Yeah.
Telugu and the Malayali community and Kannada community. So, how do you think, are they prepared for this, or are there any?
Yeah, there are local. There are lots of local communities are doing some presentations. Minal, there are lots of awareness is going on now, because this comes after a long time, right? So yeah, people are aware of this one, and also very important points which we mentioned, this like new students, because there are lots of Telugu students, South Indian students came this year, last year, because of this new PSW visa. So as Hitan Patel Bhai said, it is per household we are sending, right? That is very crucial point, which I would like to mention to our community as well. So yeah.
And one thing I can mention through your platforms, everyone, please, is the youth has really got a role to play in this, because you guys you guys can help everyone understand in your society and so on, senior citizens, because it's the first time the digital census is taking place, and as I think we all know, that all the questions which I mentioned will give us a correct and proper identity, which will then allow us to be represented correctly. Because at present, being recognized as Black, Asian, minority, ethnic, being the single largest ethnic group, to me it says that we need to come out of that kind of labeling and have our own identity as Indian, perhaps. And these are the kind of things we and the youth can drive forward and get us achieve that deserved identity we all believe in.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Hitin bhai, and we will try our best. We might want to have the follow-up session that you said, about filling in the form, depending on
Absolutely.
availability. We can set it up, not a problem.
Yeah.
More people might start getting the letters and they may come across the issues they are having. So as and when we do see need, we will actually have a follow-up session for our community. And as a, in the diverse group that we have here, like Friends of Madhya Pradesh or Uttarakhand, if they get approached, or Rajasthan, UK, I will give them out your contact in case they want to organize one full-fledged workshops within their own groups or subgroups,
Thanks, Minal.
yeah.
Please. Yeah.
And census is really, really important. Darshan Nagiji is not here, but he was yesterday talking to me, and he's opened a couple of Sai Baba mandirs,
Yeah.
and he had his own journey where basically he's a Sikh, but he basically practices Hinduism, or more correctly, he's a Sai Baba Bhakt,
Right.
And he did mention that, when he was trying to get the temples built, he had a lot of barriers, and that also kind of underlines the importance of being part of census and participating there and actually putting in your identity from wherever you are, of whatever religion you believe in or language you speak. But it's important that, like Mayura said, that you mentioned that you are here, part of this country, and the election times are coming up. The mayor elections are in May, and the council elections are in May, and these things, the demographics is what people look at when they formulate the policies. And if you do not participate now, this chance is not going to be available to you for the next 10 years after this. So it's very important that everybody participates now, makes your voice, your heard. You need to be known as a community member. You are contributing so much, so it's best that you kind of make your presence felt. Yes, Alok.
Yeah, I would like to echo that. Like in I'm in Oxford, and Oxford we have more than 300 or 500 families, but unfortunately we are not in numbers on census, and that's why we are lacking a temple here. So you are very well said that we should show our strength, that we are here, and then we can get what we want. So yeah, thanks
Definitely.
Minal for organizing
Yeah,
this, and
definitely.
Hitan bhai, you're perfectly
Thank you.
showing it out. So Jai Shri Krishna, thank you very
Jai
much.
Shri Krishna. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so on that note, let's get our communities participating into this. And even your local community, you may have neighbors who are from not Indian background, probably British, English, or, Nigerian, and they may need help filling in the forms. So if you know how to help them, please help them out, because it is very important that they know that there is an elderly person there who may need care later on, support later on, so please help out your neighbors, fill in yourself, and help your friends and neighbors and relatives fill it in. Thank you, Hitin bhai, for giving me this wonderful opportunity
No, thank you.
to ask the questions. And we didn't think that this would be possible, but it's really, really important. And thanks for giving the Indian community, the Facebook groups community, although we are registered, but that is how we're known sometimes, so giving us a chance to kind of taking the message across to and helping our community out. So on that note, let's just wait for more questions that come in, and we will arrange a session on filling up the form later on. Thanks everybody, Mayura, Abdul, Vamsi, Yogi, Rohit ji, Alok ji, Raga and Zubin, they had to go, but Ananya, for coming in at such short notice and basically sharing this workshop onto your platforms and giving the opportunity to the Indians to get their questions answered. Hope to see you soon with some other informative workshops, and have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Jai Shri Krishna, Hitin bhai. Bye,
Thank you. Jai Shri
everybody.
Krishna. Thank you, Minal
Thank
ji.
you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Minal.
Bye.